Okay, Ranger, you're gonna have to let me know if you can see or hear me, or if anyone else is out there. If you do the same as well, I'm just gonna jump in a couple of minutes early because you've got me curious there. So let me know if you can see me, if you don't mind. Okay, you hear me, and hopefully you see me as well. So I did a little bit of digging in the couple minutes that you and I've been talking, and that looks like a good looking gun. I must admit. Now I've got the Legion X5. It's I forget. It's probably like AXG or something like that, but it's alloy rather than steel. So you're talking full on steel frame. That's pretty good looking. By the way, hello everybody. Disastrous Effect, Peter K. Hope you guys are well. So Ranger, you're saying 49.5 ounces with no mag or dot, which is pretty cool. And by the way, we're talking about the P320 X5 Legion SXG. So that one's a new model to me. I actually try and keep up on SIG pretty well. I like SIG to some degree anyway. And so I'm very curious about this. Whiskey T Fox, how are you, man? How are you? Good to see you. But you say so it's got a bull barrel, two different springs, steel guide rod, magwell. Now you're saying 3 ounce pull on a completely flat trigger blade. Do you mean 3 pound trigger pull? I'm assuming 3 ounces would be a little bit horrifying. That would be a hair trigger anyway. You're saying it's basically a competition gun. Dennis, good to see you. Yeah, I mean, again, you've got me very curious. Now, I love my X5. It's fantastic. It's the Legion version with the comped slide, and it's been fantastic. It's been a wonderful shooter. I'd say that trigger though probably comes in around 4 pounds, maybe. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't do the finger test, but I'm a little bit curious about that. But 3 pounds, you're saying, okay. Dan O'Neill, good to see you. Do it live. That's exactly right. So, well, this is great. You've got me very curious, and I'm going to need to do a little bit of digging on this. I'm assuming there are some YouTube videos out there already on it, I hope. Because yeah, I'm always curious about new and different things out there. I don't think I have a reason to replace the Legion necessarily, and it's kind of a trifecta, if you will, because I've got the 365 AXG Legion, and then I've got the P226 AXG Legion as well. So I kind of like having all three of those guys there, but all steel, man. I love all steel firearms, as you know. You're saying, yeah, there's some good videos out there on it. So yeah, I definitely need to check that out. You've got me very curious, no doubt about that. Dennis the Arms Men, good to see you. Yeah, alive, what an honor. Well, it's a Friday night, so I'm not sure how many people are going to be able to pop in, but it's been long enough. I woke up this morning thinking, we need to do a live today because I had some time to do it, and I wanted to check in with each and every one of you guys. Range Randy, great to see you as well. And kind of want to see what's going on with all of you guys. What's been going on with you guys? I've got a little bit of news I'll share as we go through the live stream, of course, but hopefully some more people will join as well. Let's see, 16 watching now. Be sure everybody give a holler if you're watching. Don't be shy. And of course, bring your questions, or if you've got some things that you're working on right now, new firearms, anything of interest, be sure to bring those up. I would be curious to hear, and I love hearing from each and every one of you guys. Ranger saying, got my holster and it fits like a glove. Thanks. So yeah, Armsmen makes phenomenal holsters, by the way, everybody. A shameless plug, but definitely check them out if you haven't already. I know most of you guys know him, but anyway, it's good stuff. So. But yeah, I've got a couple things that I've been working on. If you follow me on Instagram, I don't really post much, to be honest with you, anymore. But I've been getting into wheel guns to a fair amount lately. And that's been a lot of fun. Picked up I think it's a 586 L Comp by Smith and Wesson. Put some new grips on it because the grips that came on it, although they are beautiful, they are way too small for me. So I wanted something a little bit bigger, and it's a fun gun. So I'm not trying to, carry it or hide it or anything like that. So that's been a lot of fun. And then a 686 competitor in 357, just like the L-Comp, also in 357. And that competitor, if you haven't checked that thing out, the 686 competitor, it is a tank of a revolver. I mean, I don't know if it's like 48 ounces or something like that. I mean, it just is an absolute tank. And it's got removable weights that you can put just right below the barrel. You take those out and you can replace them with plastic sleeves, or you can put the actual weights in. So it really, it shoots so much softer than any other revolver I've ever tried before. It's just fantastic. So yeah, I recommend checking something like that out. It's a lot of fun. And I've got a few others I've been kind of dabbling in as well, but those are the ones that have really kind of got my attention right now for sure. So let's see. Dennis finally got my Shadow Systems CR920 XP out of gun jail. Well, congratulations. I'll tell you, Shadow Systems, I still get people asking about Shadow Systems a lot. So it's very clear they are here to stay and doing quite well. So that's fantastic. I'm not sure which one the XP is. You'll have to let me know which one that is. It's hard for me to keep track of all the different models that are out there. I actually kind of like the one that is the size of a 34. I think that's kind of neat. But yeah, they're really good. Really good firearms. Dan O'Neill, let's see, shopped in my safe for a 45 Colt pre-lock mint gun. Okay, and you said shopped in my safe. I'm not sure if you meant something else, but for a 45 Colt pre-lock, that's cool, man. Very, very cool. Very cool. Dennis Slimline comp. Yeah, if you're talking about the 586, it is a comped firearm, and it actually makes quite a difference, believe it or not, especially if you're shooting 38 special out of it. I mean, it basically, it's got the recoil of maybe a 380 or something like that. So that's been a lot of fun. Ohio, Ohio, how are you, man? It's good to see you. Hi, y'all. I hope things are well. Hope things are well with you. The Armsman, Shadow Systems has got a lot of bad press on socials as of recently. No issue with mine. Can you fill me in a little bit more? Maybe I'm not looking at the right socials, which is entirely possible. I find as I continue to get older, I pay less and less attention to that stuff. So I'd be curious to know what kind of press they've been getting. I haven't heard anything. And the folks that I know that have Shadow Systems have had great experiences. So I don't get a lot of negative press, at least coming into the store. So I do try and pay attention to that where possible. So I'd be curious to know. Fill me in when you can. Range Randy, I'm still trying to find a Staccato P steel frame. Hard to find. Just go to Staccato. Just have them make you one. I ordered mine late last year. Got a new one. And I think it took maybe a month or so for them to turn it around. They say 30 to 60 day turnaround time. They are usually a lot faster than that. Now, I do know that they are cranking out the HDs pretty hard. So that might impact how fast they get on the ones turnaround. Obviously, I'm not with Staccato and I can't speak to that. But the wait wasn't very long, and they did a phenomenal job with it. I ordered that and then an XC not long after. Now, the XC probably took 8 days to turn around. So that was pretty cool. But the P all steel frame, obviously with the exception of the grip. And I think it's the 3.5 pound trigger, but I will tell you it's under 3 pounds. But it's fantastic. So well worth it. The P, I still think the Staccato P is a kind of a great analog for just a 2011 in general. I mean, obviously there are different types and different ones at different price levels, but the Staccato P is a fantastic firearm. It really is. And it's not as big of a ding on the wallet as some of the other options that are out there. So I'm a big fan of that. Now the XC has been glorious, no doubt about it. That's a cool firearm, but if you don't want to shell out that kind of money, and I totally get that, that was a big expenditure. But the P is just absolutely fantastic. So anyway, again, not raving or trying to shill for them or anything like that. Just personal experience. That's been a fantastic firearm. The Armsmen, talking to Dennis. Dennis, the CR920 XP is amazing. I love it. Yeah, I'm going to have to look up which model that is, or remind me, one of the two, if you don't mind. Ohio, I recently got a PX4 GSD. Very nice. I'm impressed so far. Just bought a 92 XI, but haven't fired it yet. XI is a SAO, I believe. So PX4, you know how I feel about PX4s. They're glorious. And if you got a standard one, non-Langdon, there are still some great things that you can do to it if you want to, like the trigger in a bag from Langdon can really up the game quite a bit. Not saying you have to. They're great out of the box, no doubt about that. Incredibly smooth triggers, but if you want to shorten the reset, shorten the trigger a little bit, there are some pretty easy things to do, and they're not hard to work on. So you might give that a try if you want to, but yeah, PX4, man, I'm you know me, I'm all over that. That's great. And then the 92 XI. So again, just confirm if you don't mind, SAO. I'm pretty sure the XI is. I don't have an XI, but I did pick up. It's the 92 Gara. It's one of their three kind of weird SAO lines that have the various colors and such. This one is gray and red. Which I know sounds kind of weird, but it's been absolutely fantastic. I mean, I love Berettas. I've got an ADX sitting right in front of me right now. More on that at a later time. But anyway, yeah, the XI I'm sure is great. Their SAO line is just fantastic. So keep me posted on that when you fire it, if you don't mind, Ohio. I'd appreciate that. Ranger 10. I only watch 3 YouTube gun creators, GBRS Group, Honest Outlaw, and Humble Marksman. They give the most honest opinions. I mean, I'm big fans of those as well. I do agree. I'll be honest with you. It's funny. In preparing for tonight, I went out on my Chaos Gun Guide channel and wanted to see some new videos of things out there, and the only thing that was kind of plastered all over the place is the new Springfield Armory PCC. I forget, like it's the Kuna, I think, or something like that. It looked okay. That's not necessarily my jam. I love PCCs, but to me, it's like there's so many different options out there that probably wouldn't be my first choice. But if you guys have any experience with it, heard anything about it, be sure to yell down in the comments. I'd be curious to know what you guys think of that one. But those channels, again, fantastic for sure. In fact, I tried to see if Honest wanted to join tonight, and he could not, unfortunately. So the Armsmen, I think people don't realize they have a break-in period. Let's see. I'm assuming you're talking about the Shadow Systems. It's mostly on the Facebook groups. Okay. Complaining about the comped versions not running certain ammo. It's not anything we don't already know. Well, I mean, compensators are going to do that regardless. Suppressors do that as well, right? It changes the pressure dynamics of the firearm, and it can slow slides down. They can do all sorts of weird things. When you start adding components to firearms, it can just absolutely change the dynamics of it. And sometimes a break-in period, to your point, is exactly what it needs. So I'm with you. I mean, it just, you got to get past that. And I'm sure Shadow Systems probably clearly states that in their paperwork, although most people don't read it. But yeah, you kind of have to get over it. And I understand that there are some firearms that are more finicky than others. I don't know if any of you guys have any experience with the PDP comp versions, but I've heard a lot of those are very ammo picky, and you have to change springs and all that kind of stuff, which is fine. It's no big deal. But you have to understand that going into the platform, right? Yeah, thanks for filling me in on that. So I'm a Ranger, of course, KS and Big J. Well, I mean, Big J's still putting out videos, so that's good. Although I'm getting more pressure to get some stuff out there this year. So now we'll see what happens, but a lot of it just has to do with time. So Whiskey T Fox, what is your EDC? So still a P365, just the standard, the little guy. To me, it fulfills the exact role it was intended to fill just fine for me. I use a Harry's holster with it, just plain Jane, nothing special. I haven't done anything to it or anything like that. And it's fine. It's usually caked in lint, but it works every time I need it to work. So yeah, pretty boring stuff. And aside from the gun, I always have a Spyderco knife on me to one degree or another. I kind of vary Sage 5, PM3, and then an Andela. I carry an Andela quite a bit. So anyway, that's my everyday carry. Ohio, I was going to do a trigger in a bag. There we go. But I stripped it down and polished everything. Trigger is fantastic. Now, well, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. So if you don't need to spend the money, don't spend the money on it. But PX4s are just, they're to me, and this is totally personal opinion, but as far as polymer, double action, single action firearms go, I really have a hard time finding something better. Now it's again, opinion and personal preference. They just sit well in the hand. I shoot them reasonably well. So PX4s are just phenomenal. I know I get teased that this is the PX4 channel. It's really not. I just am always impressed every time I shoot them. So let's see. Ohio, yes, SAO. That was for that the 92XI. Okay, cool. Thanks. I appreciate that. So yeah, keep me posted if you don't mind. I'd like to know how that goes. The Armsman, if purchasing a PX4, it has to be the LT. Well, it's funny. I mean, I've got a couple of Langdons, and then I've got one that is not a Langdon. I love all three. I absolutely do. The one that is not a Langdon, I've done some work with. I did a Langdon trigger bar, and then I did the Beretta competition group trigger, which I don't think they actually make anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong. If somebody wants to Google that, they can. Maybe they do, but I was under the impression that they don't anymore for the PX4. And that one is actually probably my favorite to shoot of the bunch. Now, again, I love my Langdons. They're phenomenal firearms. They are going nowhere. But that regular one is sort of bananas. It is strictly competition. The trigger is so light at this point. I mean, the double action is probably 6 or 7 pounds, somewhere around there. And the single action, you can sneeze on it and it will go off. I mean, it really is quite light. I mean, I would say in the 2.5 pound range. And for that firearm, I mean, that's really light. Obviously, there are lighter triggers out there. Those of you who are CZ TSO fans, you would know what I'm talking about. But again, for a stock, well, I shouldn't say stock, but just a standard polymer double action, single action, that's pretty incredible. So they're great firearms either way. Ohio, I do like my ADX. Me too. So I will tell you, one of the firearms I'm looking forward to this year is actually the ADX in 32 ACP. Feel free to tease me. Feel free to laugh. That's okay. I love 32. I love 380 as well. But 32, there's something very glorious about a 32 ACP. So when that actually is out there and available, which I don't think it is yet, but it is coming this year, you better believe I will have one. And I will do everything I can to find a threaded barrel for it. Because suppressing that will be just an absolute hoot. So that's a big one for me. Again, I love the ADX platform. I love the Cheetah platform. You guys know I collect Cheetahs. Anyways, I'm very excited about that. A couple of other things to tell you guys as we move along with this, but that one is a big deal for me. Love the 32. Armsman, the Beretta Cheetah ADX is probably the best 380 available. I mean, I'm biased. So full disclosure, I am biased, but I would agree with you. The Cheetah series in general, now some of them are 32s and some are 380s, depending on which model. You get the 81 and 82 that are 32, and then everything else after that. A couple of 22s as well. But anyway, I would agree with you. Now, a lot of people would argue that they're too big for 380, especially for the intended purpose of concealed carry or maybe pocket carry. And I would also agree with that as well. They are big. but that means, in my opinion, they're more pleasurable to shoot. So, food for thought on that. But I've suppressed my 380. It's my Cheetah rather, the 80X. It's a tactical model. I'm looking at it right now, and suppressed is just fantastic. It's just been a lot of fun. So, if you haven't suppressed a 380 yet, I highly recommend it. Disastrous effect. I blame Zen in the art of motorcycle maintenance for me not reading directions. Well, it's okay. Most people don't read directions. I am guilty of it as well. Ohio, the TSOS DS is a prime example of good bones that needs a little work. You can make a good gun out of it, but you need to respring it, tighten the bushing, and maybe the extractor. Okay, well, I mean, if you know you're getting into a project gun and you're okay with that, cool. I love a project, so that wouldn't bother me a bit. And it's a great way to learn the platform, and then maybe to translate some of what you've learned onto other maybe 1911s, things like that. I will tell you, I love working on firearms. I've never worked on a 1911. I just haven't had the opportunity. That need has not arisen for me, and I always want to work on my own before I do anything else. But that is a goal of mine at some point, maybe to build one. I not like doing all the filing and all that kind of stuff, or very little, because I don't think I have the skill set for that. But I would love to, put one together, all that kind of thing. It does not have to be double stack. It doesn't have to be fancy, but I would love to build one at some point in time. So hopefully that'll happen. I hope. Ohio, I like to work on guns, so I'm good with that. Yeah, absolutely. You know what? That's part of the fun, man. In fact, I've turned my garage into basically a gunsmithing shop at this point in time, and I love spending time in there. Even if I'm just kind of sitting around and looking at everything, it's a lot of fun. But being able to get in and get a little dirty and take things apart, I mean, I think that's sort of what we were designed for, right? So it's a lot of fun. Kind of feeds that baser instinct, if you will. Let's see here. Armsmen. Ever since I've experienced the Radian ramjets, it's spoiled me. No other comp runs as well. Functions with everything and easily removable. They've got those dialed in perfectly. Well, that's cool, man. I've not experienced one. I've not shot one. I don't even know. I can't remember if I've even seen one, to be honest. But other than on videos, of course. But that's cool. That's very cool. I kind of like the comps that are built into the slides, just for ease of everything. There are less parts to deal with, but yeah, that's very cool. I'm not sure if I have anything that would work with a ramjet, to be honest with you. So I don't know that I'd be able to experience that, but that's cool. Whiskey Tea Fox, CZ Nocturne opinion. Well, I mean, it's what's PO7, PO9, essentially just a newer version of it. I have handled them. I've never shot one, but we've had a couple at the store, and they're decent. I like the ergonomics quite a bit. I mean, I love CZs, as you know. I've always gravitated towards the more classic ones like PO1, SPO1, PCR, things like that. But I mean, they're cool. The one thing that I kind of wish they'd spent more time on was the trigger, especially the reset. Now they might not be able to do it with that type of trigger. I don't know if it's still the Omega, perhaps, but I would have liked to have seen a shorter reset, a little bit more crisp trigger. I think they had the opportunity to do it, but obviously Cajun Gunworks has figured out a way to do all of that. So I kind of wish CZ had done that. That's me. Now, if it's a duty or carry gun, I kind of get it, perhaps, but I still think they probably could have sharpened that up just a little bit. So, merely opinion, of course. I think they're cool, but they have not been something that has necessarily excited me all that much. So, take that for what it's worth. Dennis, agreed. Armsman. I have one in my MR920. Never had an issue. That's the Radian ramjet. Yeah, nice. Ohio. Bretta says that they will sell ADX 32 conversion kits, barrel and magazine. I saw that. I want the whole package. I really don't want a kit, if at all possible, because I'd like to have two separate firearms with two separate calibers. I'd like to have threaded barrels on both and a suppressor on both, if at all possible. So that would be my wish for that. So I'm going to not do the conversion kit in the hopes that they're going to bring the actual firearm. And I think they are. I don't know why they wouldn't. So hopefully they will. Let's see. Ohio, I have a 32 and a 380 Cheetah, both Gearson models and both TSOS models. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Now, do you have Gearson made one? It's the M13T or something like that. That's the Beretta 86 model with the flip up barrel. If you have that, let me know. If you don't, that would be one to check out. The Beretta 86 is my favorite Cheetah. Oh, hands down. Hands down. It is super cool. Now, I wish that the 83 would somehow come to the U.S., maybe in surplus mode. That has not ever happened. But anyway, yeah. So let me know if you've got that version of it. Ohio Gearson BDA is really nice. Yeah, you've talked about that before. Yeah, I have checked those out. They do look very cool for sure. Let's see. The Armsman, Dennis. I run one of those on my P365 and run it against the CR920 XP. Radian feels slightly better. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Dan O'Neill, get a Kimber. That is how I learned. Okay. There you go. There you go. Now, Dan, was that 1911-45 maybe? Let us know. The Armsman, working on firearms is therapeutic, in my opinion. Well said. Absolutely. It 100% is. I mean, it's just fun, you know. Get a little dirty, take things apart, let a spring fly across the room. You'll appreciate it later. I promise you. There's something also about collecting all the fiddly bits, all the parts, and building a bit of a collection, and being able to, you know, open the drawer and see all the different parts in there. And when the need arises and you need one or a buddy needs one, like, I've got that part. Yeah, let's put that together. Yeah, they're therapeutic for sure. Disastrous effect. I enjoy tinkering on the Tinker toy guns, but not the pistols. Okay, well, that's fair. That's fair. That's all right. I'm pretty brave. Aside from a carry gun, I'll work on just about anything. If there's a need for it, I really will. Let's see. Uncle Dan, how are you, buddy? Howdy, KS. I've EDC'd the PSA Rock 57 the last 2 days. It's long on the slide and the grip, but very thin. I shoot it well, but it will not. Let's see. Not sure it will replace my G19. So very cool. That's an interesting carry choice, but it would certainly do the job for sure. So very interesting, and good to hear from you, my friend. Good to hear from you. The Armsman. I prefer the PO9 Nocturne FS. Okay. But for some reason, I like the PO7 Tactical better. Not enough improvements to the Nocturne, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, I would agree. It's a good gun. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all. But again, I think they had the opportunity to maybe dial things in just a little bit more, because when I think of polymer, double action, single action, you guys already know what I'm going back to. Again, PX4 is hard to beat. Although I must also admit the SPO1 Phantom is a great choice as well. They don't make them anymore, unfortunately, but they are wonderful if you can get your hands on them, because they're out there, and they are absolutely fantastic. So it's a great alternative to the standard SPO1 with the alloy frame. So just a little plug for the Phantom. It's too bad 1776 Robust isn't here. He would chime in on that as well, I think. Ohio, I don't have the flip barrel. I just never pulled the trigger on that. I ought to. It's worth looking into. I mean, obviously, take it with a grain of salt. You never know if you're going to run into issues or anything. And flip top barrels can be a little bit finicky sometimes, but they are also a lot of fun. And the Gearson's not very expensive, so might be something to try and see if you like it. They are definitely out there in droves, so you could probably find a pretty good deal on it. Whiskey T Fox, Walther PPKS thoughts. You know, it's funny. They're cool guns. I have never, well, no pun intended, pulled the trigger on those, but I've considered them a couple of times. I just have never taken the leap down them, to be honest with you. But I know a couple people that are aficionados when it comes to PPKs and all the different variants. So yeah, I mean, if that's your jam and you want to try one, why not? Looney Tune, how are you? Hope things are well. Let's see, Uncle Dan. Good to see you, KS. And at my age, it's good to see him. Good to be seen. Period. I get you, man. I get you. I understand. No, it's good to see you as well, for sure. So, all right. So I got to tell you guys, I'm very excited about this. I don't have it yet, so I'm going off of basically what all the other videos are saying about it, and it's been several years that I've had this on my wish list. And I set out this year with the goal of buying very few firearms. And I know for a lot of us, that's a bit of a challenge. And if you know me, that is definitely a challenge. But really, I'm trying to just enjoy what I have more and not be on the hunt so much, if you will. But I decided, okay, there are going to be a couple of special firearms that I want to pick up this year and really enjoy, and include in the collection, that sort of thing. And I'm still kind of thinning a few things out in the collection as well. But earlier this year, I'd picked up the Staccato XC. You guys already know that. Glorious firearm, absolutely glorious. You talk about a firearm that makes you look like a better shooter than you are. That's the one. It will definitely do the job, but you pay for it for sure. And is it worth the squeeze, or can a P do the job? A Staccato P, the P can definitely do the job. They feel a little bit different. They shoot a little bit different, but the P can do the job. But there was one other one, again, that's been on the list for several years, and that's the Lago Alien. So I actually ordered one on Friday. So I'm very excited, or actually Thursday, maybe it was Thursday. So I'm excited about that. It should be here at the beginning of the week, next week. So a little bit of a risk on that, just because there are fewer of them out there. Obviously, they're a little bit on the expensive side. I did get a good deal on it, thankfully. So I did not have to pay full price, but you know, there aren't as many parts available or anything like that. So it is a little bit of a risk to do that. But I'm really excited because they look so unusual, and that super low bore axis, all that kind of thing. I just decided, you know what, go big or go home. I really want to try this and see if it's something that I'm going to really enjoy. I like the HKP7. You guys know the squeeze cocker. It goes back to the Die Hard days, of course. Very interesting firearm, and I bring that up because it's that same gas system, same idea that goes into the Alien. So again, I'm excited to try that. I'll keep you guys posted once I have an opportunity to get to know it a little bit better, take it apart, and clean it up, and then put some rounds through it. But I decided it was a risk I was willing to take to give it a try. So anyway, that's big news on my front. So I'm excited about that. Let's see. Whiskey Tango Fox. They hurt to shoot. Are you talking about the Walther PPKs? Fill me in on that. Fill me in. Uncle Dan, 60 years old now in field 25. Well, then you're doing well. You're doing well. I'm a little bit younger than you are, but I probably feel a little bit older. So that's great. I'm a little bit road hard and put away wet, unfortunately. Ohio, Uncle Dan, I'm 62 and having cataract surgery. Oof. Tuesday. Good luck, Ohio. I hope everything goes well. Seriously. I hope things go well for you. If I'd known I would live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. Well, man, yeah, I get that as well. I'm a little bit younger than the two of you guys, but not by much. But I am definitely feeling it. Being a musician for 30 years, playing as hard as I played, I feel it every single day now. And my poor left hand has been abused so much between surgery and then I broke it last year. I'm starting to feel like I'm falling apart a little bit. So I get that. For the rest of you, the old people are complaining a little bit right now. Apologies for that. If you're younger, enjoy it. Ranger, let's see. I thinned out 3 to get the X5 Legion SXG. I had a Ruger P89. That was 1. I bought that gun back in the early 90s. Wow, you held on to that for a super long time. My gosh. You probably did pretty well on it, though. because people collect stuff like that. They really do. The longer you can hold on to stuff like that, the more people want them. So, but you know what? You got a cool gun, man. I'm excited to watch some videos on that after this and get to know it a little bit better. So that's cool. That's cool. Dennis, Bald and Curious has one. I shot it and really enjoyed it. Nice. Let's see, the Armsmen. From what I'm seeing, I think a lot of us are on the same page this year, thinning out what we own, what we truly enjoy, and yeah, just keeping what we truly enjoy. Let's see, if it doesn't go to the range, it has to go quality over quantity. You know, it's funny. There are a few in the collection that I don't shoot or don't shoot very much at all. One of them, ironically, is the Beretta 86. Not because it isn't a great shooter. It actually is. It's delightful to shoot. My paranoia with that gun, first, it's in mint condition, and there aren't altogether that many out there. And when they are out there, they're kind of expensive. But the bigger paranoia is they are very difficult to work on. The parts are hard to get, and they are, because it's a flip up barrel, it's just not as easy to work on. So I don't generally shoot that firearm. It's very rare. And if I do, it's only a few rounds, just to enjoy it, soak it in for a few minutes. So there are a few firearms in the collection that are like that, but the majority of them I will shoot and have no problems with that whatsoever. So, but I get that philosophy. I really do. Uncle Dan, same here, Ohio. Dexter, hope you're well, man. Hope you're still here. I'm probably a little bit late calling on you there, but Dexter is saying hi. So very cool, very cool. The Armsmen, congrats on the Alien. The investment hurts my heart. Yeah. I will tell you, it cost about what I paid for the XC. So yeah, definitely an investment. But I'm hoping it's worthy of it. It looks so interesting and so different. And and I'm sure all of you guys have probably felt this way at one time or another. You start to feel a little bit like everything is the same. It's all the same. I mean, there are variants of this or that or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's all the same. I mean, take a look at a 1911, and I love 1911s, don't get me wrong, but if you look at them, I mean, they're basically all the same. Yes, there are differences at a nuanced level, but they're all basically the same, right? So I was really sitting back and thinking to myself, okay, if I were to make an investment, what would be something that would be really different for me, of course, but also just different in general, and also something that maybe my buddies don't have experience with or anything like that, not to show off, but just to be like, here, try something different. I think that's kind of cool. So I'm hoping it turns out okay. Otherwise, I'm going to feel pretty dumb. But hopefully. Dan O'Neill, inalienable. Yeah. Well, it's an alien for sure. Dexter, I'm sure you saw 1776 video today. I have not watched that. I'll be honest with you, I have to hunt his videos down. For whatever reason, YouTube has really changed who they're showing in my feed and who they aren't anymore. It's super weird. So I will go hunt it down. I mean, I saw his post on Instagram, so I know there's a video out there, but it was not in my feed today. So anyway, I'll check that out. I will. Uncle Dan, I've been a musician and an industrial electrician for over 45 years and going strong. Wow. That's fantastic. That's cool, man. You play guitar, right? Remind me. I believe you do. Ohio, I still have my 92 SB I bought used in 1983. Gosh, that's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. What was I? 8? So anyway, let's see. Ranger 10mm. Wow, Ohio, that's cool. Dexter, you're good. Okay, appreciate that. Armsmen. Let's see. Talking to Dexter, I did. New York is terrible. I was born and raised in New York. Got out of that hole 20 years ago and never looked back. Best decision I ever made. Well, I'll tell you, after all the stories that 1776 shares with us, I don't blame you. That would be so rough. I don't think I could do it. I'm very blessed to be in a state that is very firearms friendly, for sure. Uncle Dan, thumbs up, guys, for how KS handles the comments. Best in the business online. Well, you're very kind to say that. I'm a little spoiled. It's a smaller group right now, so I can keep up with you guys pretty well. There are some times, I mean, back in the day when there were 100 people or more, it could get a little bit wild, but I appreciate that. But listen, I like talking to you guys. I learn more from you guys than I think you probably ever could have from me on any video or anything like that. So, and you guys are always telling me about new stuff on the market. Apparently, I'm not paying close enough attention, and I work in the industry, so I need to do better about that. The SXG is a perfect example of that, to be honest with you. But Dan, I really appreciate it, man. Steve B. Let's see, I'm 66 and had cataract surgery 6 months ago, and now I can use red dots. Well, that's great. I'm glad it worked. Glad everything worked out for you, and glad you can use red dots now. So that's good. I'm not looking forward to. I'm sure I'll have to go through that at some point in time, and yeah, not looking forward to that at all. Thankfully, right now I can use red dots, even though I don't, other than on maybe ARs or whatever. But anyway. Ranger 10, Ohio. I bought a Ruger 1022 in 1989. Still have it too. That is incredible. Now, I will tell you, the oldest gun in my collection is a single shot Winchester 22 that my grandfather gave me. I used to shoot that gun in the backyard of their house back in the early 80s in suburban Kansas City. Times have changed a lot, by the way. But I still have that firearm. And still works, still shoots, a little single shot, which actually, by the way, is a ton of fun because it'll shoot things like 22 short or whatever. It's incredibly accurate because it's like maybe a 26 or a 28-inch barrel. It's not fancy. It's old rudimentary ring style sights and everything, but it is a lot of fun. So that is the oldest one. I think, gosh, I can't remember when that was made. I want to say it was made, I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I don't want to say a date and be completely wrong, but it's old. It's old because I know he had it for a good portion of his life as well. So definitely the oldest firearm there. Not an exciting one necessarily, but certainly means a lot to me. And that gun will go nowhere. Let's see. Ohio. Steve B. Cool. I hope for an improvement myself. Talking about cataract surgery. Yeah. Dexter, innovation is a thing. People hate on Q for doing things different. Help me out, Q. Are you talking? I always think suppressors when I hear Q. Is that what you're talking about? So help me understand that one. Uncle Dan, all instruments but fiddle and fair enough. Oh, good times. I like you, Dan. Dennis, I'm in New York, not far from 1776. My county has pro 2A sheriff, but it still sucks buying handguns and rifles. Yeah, man. And total gamble, right? Depending on which county you're in and what the temperature of whoever's in charge of, I guess, stamping your coupon or whatever it is. That's rough, man. It's absolutely rough. Excuse me. Steve B, let's see. Go to the gun show in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay, fair enough. I will tell you, I haven't been to a gun show in years and years and years. It just has been a long time. I should probably go just to see, hopefully, some old like surplus firearms. That would be the only reason I would go. I wouldn't go there for new firearms. That doesn't really matter to me anymore. But just to see some cool old guns would be pretty fun. Ohio is pretty good on guns now. Vast improvement in the last 20 years. I have a daughter in Missouri. They are pretty hands-off as well, 100%. Kansas and Missouri are pretty much neck and neck as far as firearms go. We share a lot of the same philosophy. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Ohio, I'd be curious whereabouts in Missouri. Don't worry, I'm not going to go hunting her down. I would just be kind of curious because I'm very close. I mean, it would take me from my house 10 minutes maybe to get to Kansas City, Missouri. So, and I work in Kansas City. So anyway, if you don't want to share, totally fine, no big deal. But I would be curious. Steve, looks like you took a message off. Ranger, my brother got my grandpa's 16 gauge bolt action shotgun. Wow. It was made in the 50s. Can't remember the model. So how often do you see a bolt action shotgun? I don't feel like you see one very often. That's pretty cool. Keep it in the family. Keep it in the family. Okay, Dexter, they make suppressors and fire. Okay, Q. So we're talking about the same thing. I always think suppressors because we sell suppressors, of course. Yeah, I've got a Q erector. It's weird to say online, right? But that's a legitimate thing. It's the little 22 suppressor with all the different modules in it, and it's pretty fun. I've got it on it's a silencer shop Ruger Mark IV. And it's in kind of a smoky gray, and then the can is in this sort of light tan. It's kind of an interesting looking firearm, but that Q, it actually suppresses incredibly well. And again, you can shrink it up to make it very, very small, or whatever the case may be. I don't want to say the opposite of that, given the name of the can, but anyway, they're cool. They make a 9mm version of that can as well. They're on back order, and they're on back order a lot. So I think that's a very popular can. That would be one I would actually like to try. I am not in the market for cans anymore. Generally, I have enough, but that one would spark my interest for sure. So anyway, so yeah, I'm glad we're talking about the same thing for sure. Yeah, and they make some other really interesting, like the Honey Badger and Trash Panda and various things like that. So very cool. Ohio Ranger 10. My oldest gun is a Swedish rolling block from 1872. Oh my gosh. Wow, that's old. Very cool though. And what caliber would that be in? I mean, I'd be curious to know if it even has a caliber. Yeah, let me know. Disastrous effect. The last gun show I went to, it was a bunch of overpriced junk and a few guns. That is not a surprise. Another one of the reasons why I generally don't go to gun shows. I feel like we have them here about every 3 months, but it just, I don't know, man. It's just not a thing for me. And working in the industry, I work at a gun store part-time. I don't really have a need for most of that. I mean, if they specialized in surplus firearms, old firearms, I would be much more inclined to go, even if just to walk around and look at things. That would be okay with me. The armsmen, gun shows these days aren't the same as they used to be, at least in Florida. That's the case. Yeah, I would agree. And I think a lot of people go there to sell things. And I don't mean like the tables and booths or whatever. I'm talking like people just walking around and trying to sell things. And that's not my cup of tea. So Ohio, Columbia. Okay, very cool. So not entirely too far from CMMG, actually. I want to say Boonville is probably less than an hour away from Columbia. But I've been to Columbia many a time. Back in my youth, we used to go to Columbia sometimes. So very cool. Thanks. Appreciate it. Don't worry, she's safe. I don't travel very much, and certainly not to Columbia. So excuse me. Disastrous effect. You've met me. I've been in the store twice. Okay, very cool. Very cool. I hope I treated you well. Dexter, they are sick. Light tan is the clear anodized. Yes, you are exactly right. They're pretty cool. I mean, again, it was sort of a spur of the moment sort of thing. I did not need another 22 can. I don't really shoot 22s all that often, but it caught my attention, and it was there for a couple of days. And I finally was like, all right, this is so weird. I have to try it. And I slapped it on that Mark IV and said, okay, there's your home. But it really did impress me. It suppressed far better than I thought it would. So that's why, again, if the 9mm somehow appeared in front of me, I probably would consider picking that up, just because, again, it's unusual. It's very weird. So I don't know. We'll see. Steve B. I have my grandfather's Civil War rifle, and the one he picked up after battle. And yes, I shoot it. God, that's just so cool. I mean, and I know you guys all appreciate this, but I have to occasionally pause and sit back and think about, I mean, the history of firearms, especially just the history of one single firearm and the stories that it could tell, right? I just think that's endlessly fascinating. We do get a fair amount of really old, unusual firearms that come in through transfer at centerfire, and it's just fascinating to see some of these. I mean, some of them are a little bit gangly, but so many of them are just they're incredible and sometimes in beautiful shape and wonderfully preserved. I think that's so cool. That's such an interesting aspect of what we enjoy, our hobby. It's one thing to pick up the latest and greatest, like the Alien, right? But it's another thing to be thinking about a firearm that was made in 1872. That's bananas to me, and you still shoot it. That's cool. I don't know, man. I get pretty excited about things like that. I really do. It makes our hobby so much more interesting to me. So that's really cool. All right, Dennis, suppressor. What's that? Come to Kansas. I'll show you. Come to Kansas. Let's see. Dexter want to know a fun fact. The box art for the full Nelson and the half Nelson is Kelvin's dad photoshopped on the wrestler. Interesting. Okay. That is a different kind of fact for sure. I'm going to have to do a little digging on that. You've got me curious now. Interesting. Ohio rolling block is 12.7 by 44. My goodness. I have to make the cases myself, but 50, 70 cases work if the extractor is large enough. Mine is. It's just mind-blowing to me. I think that's so cool. I really do. More power to you, man. That's super cool stuff. Let's see, Dexter, hearing protection device. Okay, probably having a side conversation there. Dennis is being sarcastic. We can't have them in New York. Yeah, the Iron Curtain, says Dexter. Ranger 10 millimeter. Indiana is good on 2A. Yes, for sure. Let's see, Ranger 10 Steve B. That's awesome. Okay. I think I'm actually pretty well caught up at this point. Anybody have any other questions? Anything else you guys want to bring up? I'm trying to think if there's anything else going on in my neck of the woods. I'm trying to get out and shoot a little bit more. I'll tell you, Daniel Defense H9. You guys know that I picked one up last year when they first came to market. And the first one went back to Daniel Defense because they were having some issues with some, but the experience with Daniel Defense was immaculate. They were amazing to deal with. Talked to somebody on the phone right away. It was almost like I was calling a buddy of mine. Very personable. And they ended up replacing with a brand new firearm. That was pretty cool as well. So got that. It took forever for me to get it to the range to test, unfortunately, because again, I dealt with a broken hand last year, late last year, but I was finally able to test it. And unfortunately, I ran into some of the same issues, which was very disappointing. So ran through the same barrage of tests that I typically try and do, multiple types of ammo, multiple magazines, multiple shooters as well, all of that, just to make sure that I'm not the problem and the ammo isn't the problem, all that kind of stuff. But it was issues all around. So anyways, definitely unfortunate, but contacted Daniel Defense. They are aware that there is an issue with some probably reaming of the barrel, that sort of thing. So I've sent it back again. So I'm really hoping they're able to figure that out. It's a neat gun, and when it shoots, it's phenomenal. But I'm wondering if it's suffering a little bit from the Hudson curse, perhaps. I don't know. I don't know if any of you guys have any experience with the H9. I'd be curious to know if you do, if you have one, and if you run into issues or anything like that. Tell me your story if you do. But that's mine. I'll keep you guys posted whenever I get it back. I don't know when I'm going to get it back this time. He did not have a good idea because they're still trying to work out how to figure out the issues. And it could just be that this platform is destined to not work. I don't know. I don't know yet. But again, Daniel Defense, for what it's worth, their customer service is incredible. So if you ever have to deal with them, rest assured they're going to be really cool and take care of you. So anyways, I'll keep you posted on that. The Armsmen, opinions on the Staccato HD. I've got a buddy in law enforcement that has one on the way. I would like to try it just certainly to see it, but also hopefully shoot it a little bit. I'm curious, but here's the thing. I like what they did with it. However, to me, they made a critical mistake, and I'm in the minority here. I will fully admit that because you guys know I'm not an optic shooter. I like irons. The way they did it, they put the irons in front of the red dot, and there is not an option to have the irons in the back, where they typically are, right? So you have your full sight radius on the firearm. If they had done that to where they could have the sights normal, and then you take the plate off, and then you put that would have been fine, but they didn't do that. And running the gun without the optic with the shortened sight radius of those sights makes no sense to me. So for me, I'm out. I won't do it. But I'm intrigued on the platform. I know that optics are sort of the wave of the future, but I don't think that firearm manufacturers should exclude those of us who like to shoot irons. Irons are still relevant, in my opinion. They truly are, because they don't rely on a battery. They don't die or anything like that, as long as they're good quality steel and everything. So that's, excuse me, that is my opinion on it for now. Again, in concept, I like it quite a bit. And it takes Glock mags, although there have been others that came before it that did too, like the platypus. And I love the platypus. So, but again, I'm not opposed to the HD. I just think from an iron shooter's perspective, they didn't do right by me anyway. Again, fully admit I'm in the minority there. So anyways, that's my thought on it. I'd like to know your thought on it. Steve B, that's awesome. That's Ranger. Armsmen, opinions on the staccato HO. I'm sorry, I already read that. My apologies. Dexter, still snow and other fun here. Not us, man. We were at 70 degrees today, which is absolutely fantastic. Although tomorrow it's going to be 40. So welcome to the Midwest. Steve, how are the Ruger RXM doing as far as sales there? I gave myself one for Christmas. They were really hot for about 30 seconds, and now it's kind of cooled off a little bit. So now I'm just kind of waiting to get feedback from people that have actually purchased them. So anyway, I think we're sitting on a couple right now. We've got them if you need one. But anyway, in concept, I like what they did, but the proof is in the pudding, right? I want to see all the different modularity, all the different systems that they come up with for that. That'll be the more interesting thing for me. Armsmen, I have the DH9. Not impressed at all. It's a $6 hair firearm at best. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Does yours work? I'd be curious to know about that. I mean, are you running into issues with it? Fill me in a little bit more, Arms, if you could. Joshua, what are your thoughts on the Ruger RXM? Okay, yep, just answered that question. But how are you? Hope you're well. Ohio Steve B, I might pick up the RXM if they ever make a different grip frame, different sizes. Weren't they also talking about a PDW or PCC? I'd be curious to see what they do with that if they do one. Disastrous effects. Steve B, I gave myself the Ruger LC carbine in 10 millimeter. Very cool. Very cool. Let's see, Ranger. If you end up picking up the SXG, I can't wait to hear what you think of it. I have an idea. I already know. Well, I will tell you, I mean, it's not on the radar right now, and I did look up the prices, and I mean, I can get a little bit closer to dealer, but it's a pricey gun. And I was not looking to pick up another P320, to be honest with you. That may change. It's a full steel frame, and I love steel. So I don't know. We'll see, but I will keep you posted. If not, I will live vicariously through you. How about that? Ranger DA, how do you like the LC and 10 millimeter? Yeah, that's talking to Disastrous Effect. Let's see here. Let's see. Dexter, you can't control witness then? Hey, were you talking to me? Sorry. Are you talking about for the HD? Fill me in on that question. I'm assuming you are. I mean, because I don't use optics, right? I only use irons. So I'm not trying to witness anything. I'm actually just using irons. So Anyway, oh, Dexter, okay, co-witness. Yeah. Well, you certainly can. The thing is, I don't want an optic there, right? So having having the irons in front of the optic and then not having the optic there at all, but you still have those irons way forward on the slide. That doesn't work for me. Plus, it would look awfully silly. So, not my cup of tea. Let's see here. You guys having a little bit of a conversation. Very cool. Disastrous Effect Ranger. The Banshee is just a little bit more. I love the Banshee. I'm a big fan. I still have the same Banshee I've had. I mean, that video is still on the channel. Still have it. Still runs. It's great. Let's see. Joshua. Let's see. I'm also in the minority. I run a 43X19 with Ameriglow. Hackathorns. Good choice as my go-to pistol. That said, optics on pistols still interest me. That's fair. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And I'll be honest with you, it's probably a good idea, and I need to be better about this because I'm not. I need to be better about spending more time with optics on firearms so I'm more comfortable with that platform. So I think you've got the right idea there. I really do. Disastrous Effect. They are awesome. Okay. Big Johnson, hello, Gun Nation. Just want to jump in and say hello. Everybody hit the thumbs up. Hey, Big Johnson. Missed you tonight. Let's see. Everybody's saying hello to Big J. Steve B, so far, it's only different colors. That costs less than SIG magazine. Speaking of which, the Alien magazines are $100 a pop. I'm just putting that out there, right? We always complain about like SIG and HK magazines being expensive. Oh, well, the Alien magazines are more expensive. Let's see. Okay, Big Johnson saying dot life. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you and your dots. The Armsman, the RXM is pretty decent. I like it. It's been solid so far. If Ruger and Magpul know how to run with it, I think they should have released some accessories at launch. Yes, I totally agree with that. So we'll see how they do. And then my DH9 malfunctions with every magazine. Send it in, man. I mean, that's what I would suggest doing. Obviously, do whatever you feel necessary, but I would send it in. I'm hoping they can fix it. I really am. Otherwise, I'm going to see if they can just give me a refund on it because they're expensive, right? And I don't want to sit on a lame duck, if you will. So the Armsmen saying hi to Big Johnson. Oh my gosh, I just looked at the clock. It is 8 o'clock. That is crazy. So we've been going at this for an hour. You guys, I cannot thank you guys enough for obviously hanging out, giving some time to me tonight to chit chat with me and having great conversation. This is so much fun. Let's see, Big Johnson, sorry, couldn't do it. Family stuff. No worries, man. We'll do it again. And next time we'll get some more guys on here. Big Johnson, 1776, the usual crowd. So anyway, I'm glad we were all able to get together and do this. Let's see, Joshua, I know you're a 320 fan. Wanted your perspective on all the indies and lawsuits that SIG is experiencing. Do they have any weight or is it all negligence? I can't speculate because I don't know the facts. I mean, some of it may be genuine, and I think some of it is probably user error. But again, alleged, right? All alleged. So I really don't know. I'm pretty picky about 320s. The only one I have is that AXG Legion, and it's great. I like it quite a bit. But yeah, I don't know. I hope they can figure it all out. I really do. But anyway, all right, guys. So let's do this. This has been a ton of fun. Like I said, I can't thank you guys enough for hanging out and joining me on a Friday night of all things. Really appreciate that. Let's see. Disastrous Effect. Have a great weekend. KS, if you're working next Saturday, I'll see you then. I will be there. So say hi if you don't mind. So anyways, you guys be safe. Have a lot of fun. Thanks again for joining. Really appreciate that. It's about time to sign off. It's time to go have a bourbon and look at that SXG. So anyways, you guys, thanks. Really appreciate it. And I will talk to you later.